Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Indy, and today I would like to talk about a little indie game that came out recently called Bleak Faith Forsaken. Bleak Faith Forsaken was one of my most highly anticipated indie games released on March 10th, and it's been a non-stop roller coaster of emotions. The initial release did not go well, with all sorts of problems from bugs in the game, poor performance, and all that jank, and the assets bought from Epic that have since been removed from the game. I don't care what all these knuckleheads FromSoft fans cry about on the daily about the assets anymore. That issue, as far as I'm concerned, is done. It's not in the game, so let's move on. Anyways, I waited for a few days to see how the devs would respond before I finally made my purchase. I stayed on all the forums, I looked at what everybody was saying, and I wanted to know if they would work on fixing these issues, and at the time the answer was yes. They had already put out a slew of patches, and kudos to the devs, give credit where credit is due. The problem is though, after about 15 hours into the game, and I'm still perplexed as to why they decided to release the game in the state that it is. There are plenty, and I mean plenty, of issues with this game. So, let's go ahead and talk about the bad in Bleak Faith Forsaken. In the opening, you know right away the character movement is an issue. It's not fluid, it doesn't look good, and as your character, it appears to be floating a bit off the ground. Then there was the control issue. I've heard all gripes about the key bindings and the things that didn't work properly. Not knowing what to press or to equip, simple items or switch between weapons was a pain. Heck, it's still a pain to navigate the menus. The controls, while still an issue, seem to have gotten better, not perfect, but better. I play with a controller, so my experience has been somewhat challenging and different from those, playing a keyboard, and I've had to do some workarounds with the issues, but things are at least tolerable now. Fighting in the game can be hit or miss. At times it feels okay, and then I get seriously frustrated when in combat and I get hit with some ridiculously long range attack, or my attack misses completely. It also appears that at times you can somehow duck under an enemy's attack, yet it doesn't always work that way. It's just weird and it's odd. Your character will also clip through environments, you'll fall to your death in mysterious circumstances, or you can, watch giant enemies just walk right through structures. It kind of kills the immersion of this game, and this game is all about the immersion. I don't mind the long ladder climbs like most folks, but what gripes me is the elevators in this game. If you ride one up, your character clips through the bottom, and it's so damn janky looking. Then if you're going down, it looks like you're floating above it. But I mean, that's kind of a minor issue compared to being blasted on top of a building in a boss fight and then being stuck there having to restart the game. I've actually had to restart the game on numerous occasions. I couldn't do anything in that situation but laugh of how absurd that was. And I mean, the UI, I can't with the menus in this game. That entire thing needs an overhaul, a complete overhaul, because it's so bad. You cannot see what you're looking at, and it's unfortunately, it is unfortunate because some of the stuff is really cool, but navigating in the menus and looking at your gear and your items and stuff is just, it's terrible. Simply put, this game has enough issues to warrant the question again, why release it in this state? Now, I'm not hating on the game, and I'm not mad they did put it out, but I'm not most people. So there are those that are really not happy with the developers, and rightfully so. You spend your hard-earned money, and you at least want a playable, enjoyable game, right? Now, if you think there is nothing good about Bleak Faith Forsaken, then you either haven't played the game at all, or you probably only played for less than an hour and then just gave up. While the combat certainly has its issues, as you progress and you find more types of weapons, the combat opens up quite a bit. There are more items you can equip, and you can start to fine-tune your playstyle. It's not great by any stretch, but I'm telling you, it's a lot better than what people think. And then that leads to the weapons and the armor. Some of the things you acquire are super kick-ass, and I absolutely love the different looks you can create with your armor sets. Not only that, at a certain point in the game, you can customize both. There isn't much of a story, but the characters you actually get to talk to are pretty cool. I was thinking the voice acting was going to be god-awful, but I was wrong. And now for the biggest thing this game has going for it, and that's the world. It feels so vast and just rifled with mystery. Everything in the distance feels like it has its own story, its own life. It just breathes in the background. It's incredible, and a feeling I can't remember feeling in any game recently. That, coupled with a soundtrack that puts you into this like otherworldly state, albeit the music cuts off at odd times, but man, when it's really grooving, it feels like you're in this surreal moment that you never want to depart from. And honestly, that's the biggest bummer about Bleak Faith, the potential that it had to do something really special. At the end of the day, whether you love or you hate Bleak Faith Forsaken, the fact is the game feels unfinished. I played a ton of indie games, and I know all about small teams putting out a janky product. Unfortunately, I've played some really bad ones as well. Some I had to decline to review because it was unplayable and I couldn't beat the game. And in the same breath, I've played some amazing games made by one person or a small group. Games that are near and dear to my heart now. Games that trump any AAA game I've ever played. Yes, I might be a little biased because I have that passion for those type of games, but within all of that, I still couldn't recommend anyone to pick up Bleak Faith. And that's a shame, because I myself actually enjoy the game. But janky really isn't anything new for me. I just hope that in a year or two, we're talking about how this game came back from the brink and made itself into one of the most memorable games ever. Because I think it has that potential. I mean, we all like a good comeback story, don't we? Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And let me know your thoughts in the comments about Bleak Faith Forsaken, if you've played it, or what you think about the game itself, and strictly the game itself. I think that this game can be saved, you know, if the devs really put in the effort. And they seem to be doing that. They're making patches and stuff continuously. And I've noticed that the playthrough that I'm doing now has gotten better with some of those patches. The controls feel a lot better and a lot smoother. I think they're headed in the right direction, but they got a long way to go, that's for sure. with this game. But I hope they get there. I really hope that they get there because, like I said, I'm having a lot of fun playing this game. It's a shame. I mean, I don't want to put it down. I just keep playing it. The world that they've created it's something else. It's really, really cool. And I think that's the biggest draw to this game. I mean, the enemies, the variety of enemies, and, you know, your character and all this stuff and everything else is cool, you know, within this world. But if everything doesn't work, you know, and it's hard to play some areas and stuff, then, you know, I can see why people would be quite turned off by the game. But for me, luckily, you know, I don't mind certain things like that. So I've been having a blast myself playing the game. Most players aren't going to sit there and go through all that, though. They're not going to put up with that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, you know, this game could have been something else. It really could have been, and perhaps they should have waited, you know, let this game cook a little bit longer before they released it. But yeah, other than that, that's all I got to say on the issue, and I'm going to keep playing, and hopefully I'll be able to find my way through the maze that this game is and beat it eventually. I feel like I am slowly progressing just because I'm one of those that will go through every nook and every cranny and try to, you know, do everything possible sometimes. But yeah, again, thank you so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.